You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
It being 6 o'clock. It being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Planning Board meeting of June 25th, 2026 to order. Attendance, Victoria Rec Ames, I'm present. Scott Self.
I'm here.
Mark Scalera.
Here.
Richard Lane.
Here.
Brandon Self.
Here.
Michael York.
Here.
Selectman's rep sitting in for Alan Gross is alternate Jay Ward. Stacy Goodale.
Here.
Charlie Harbeck.
Here.
And Jane Johnson is not present. So I don't need to seat any alternates. The agenda for tonight's meeting is to approve the minutes of June 11, 2026. Then we have a public hearing, which is Planning Board PB 26009, Site Plan Review. Terry Lewis has submitted a site plan review application for the property located at 69 James Road to use an existing 1,600 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit as an event space and to hold activities such as healing circles, yoga, meditation, retreats, and herbal classes. The property is at Tax Map 209, Lot 11 in the Business District. Then under discussions and other business, we have a solar ordinance discussion. Item B is excavation permit discussion. Item C is a discussion of Arrowcrest Drive extension, and then any other business that will come before the board. First item is to consider the minutes of June 11, and Planning Board has reviewed the minutes. Are there corrections, deletions, or additions to these minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the June 11th minutes as presented.
Motion by Scott, second.
Second.
By Mark. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our statement of regional impact. Does anything on the agenda qualify as a development of regional impact requiring notification of neighboring municipalities?
Make a motion there is none.
Motion by Richard,
I'll second.
second by Scott. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. I'm going to reread the notice, ask Ms. Lewis to come forward, and we'll begin by looking at completeness of the site plan application. This is for a site plan review application for the property located at 69 James Road to use an existing 1,600 square foot detached accessory dwelling unit as an event space and to hold activities such as healing circles, yoga, meditation, retreats, and herbal classes. The property is at Tax Map 209, Lot 11 in the Business District. So the first order of business for the Planning Board is to go through our checklist to see whether the application we've received is complete. Before we do that, Adam, would you like to speak to items on this?
I have some items from my memo. You'll find that on pages 7 through 11. A lot of them would probably be relevant before we get the checklist. So let me just go through this really quick. So everybody can orient themselves. This is on the very end of James Road, the very eastern end. It's not really a curb cut there, Terry, right? It just kind of ends at the property. I don't know if any of you have been out there before, but the road, it literally just stops at her property. So on the property currently are 2 single-family dwellings, a detached garage, a greenhouse, and on the upstairs of the detached unit is the DADU. The downstairs is the proposed location for this use. She has received in 2021 2 special exceptions. The special exceptions were obtained because she needed to surpass the height 25 feet and go over the 1,000 square foot limit for accessory structures. Staff has some comments, and it's one of the rare occasions where the planning staff and the health officer and the public works director had comments. So let me go through those really quick before we get to the checklist. First comment was about the wetland configuration on the site. The GIS references a small stream that runs through your property. So the GIS is a helpful reference, but it doesn't really accurately reflect the conditions of the site. We would like the applicant to submit an updated site plan that provides an accurate representation of the stream, along with any potential environmental constraints or setbacks. That goes along with the Conservation Commission needing to review this application. Some ordinance concerns, not really concerns, just a note. This use seems to conform with the function hall and educational facility uses. So we do consider this a permitted use in the district. It aligns pretty closely with the definition for function hall, and there's no definition for educational facility, but we feel like it meets the spirit of that definition. So no zoning board concerns here. Some parking concerns. We're concerned about the maneuverability and the functionality of the internal parking spaces. There are some screenshots that I posted on page 9 of your packets that show the concerns. At the very least, we would maybe want an updated site plan that shows a better oriented parking area with turnaround areas and more maneuverability for the cars. The spaces are evenly spaced, but the measurements aren't listed on the plan. We just want to make sure that the spaces can accommodate a normal sized vehicle. And then there's also a grassy area on the north side of the lot that should not be used as parking. I think there are 4 or 5 spaces listed in that area. Those spaces should not be in grass, so it should either be graveled or they should be moved somewhere else on the lot. On page 10, there's a correction for the septic. I conferred with our health officer, and the septic is actually, it's good for 12 to 15 guests and 2 employees. So if it expands beyond that limit, then we would need a new septic plan. But as for the proposal of 12 to 15 guests and 2 employees, it would work. The household domestic use just refers to how the people would be using the system. So, no hot tubs or anything. So the plans should also show how the structure and the parking comply with federal ADA standards. Any commercial use needs to comply with federal ADA standards, so we would just need an update showing that. Public Works had a comment. This is a quote from Joe, our Public Works Director. He doesn't have any concerns about the increase in vehicle traffic. However, if there's a future growth and traffic increases, James Road is not designed for any significant increase. He's not sure if it warrants a traffic study, but something the planning board should be aware of. And then he also noted that it's hard to tell from your plan if the curb cut driveway entrance needed to be changed. I think he's referencing the change in dimensions. For commercial uses, different standards. So you'd have to reach out to Joe. So that would need to be a condition. So just to summarize, plans should show existing and proposed conditions. They should also show the boundary lines of the property. There are no boundary lines listed. So we would need amended plans that show that. Parking areas should conform to Section 8, Article 2 of the Site Plan Review Regulations. Water and sewage should conform to Section 7, Article 6. They do currently, but if there's ever more than 15 people on site, they would need to expand. Handicap access should be provided per Section 8, Article 10, and per federal ADA regulations. 3 more, I promise. Final plan should be printed on regular paper, so it stores well in filing cabinets. Tracing paper can lose clarity with years of storage. We're also concerned about the proximity to the stream. And then final comment is Conservation Commission to review this application, or approval should be conditioned upon Conservation Commission approval. That's all staff.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. All right. On the plat submission checklist, we have all items identified as being represented on the plat, with the exception of item 19, which is surface drainage patterns. Although on the tracing paper, I think I saw some, is this identical to what's on the, okay, okay, all right.
No, nothing's being excavated on that
Right.
property, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And
So
it's-
surface drainage patterns are going to remain the same regardless.
Yeah, yeah. So that's not relevant. And you also, under 25, that asks for architectural plans, and the building already exists. So again, that's not relevant. So have people had a chance to look at the site plan to, do any questions about completeness, I guess, is what my issue is.
And I'll make a motion that the site plan is complete and ready to go to public hearing.
Motion by Scott, second by Richard. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. In that case, I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:12. And we've already received Adam's comment. Would you like to make a presentation, an overview of the big plan?
So I just made some answers to the comments that he had given me. The handicap accessibility is there. I do have a ramp already, and one of my bathrooms is made large enough for wheelchair accessibility. The parking spaces that are now grass are only because I ran out of money for my hard pack, and I am removing the topsoil right now and waiting for hard pack. So those will be hard packed as well. My septic system, which was questioned, I talked to Adam about that. That says right on the septic plan that it is made for what I'm asking for. It's actually a little bit more because I don't expect to have 12 to 15 guests per day. I mean, it's more likely to be once a week or once a month, you know, until it grows. My original plan in 2021 was to build a wedding venue, and the town suggested that I have a building built for safety, so that is what started this whole thing. And since then have decided that I don't want to work with Bridezilla. I want to work with people that want to heal. So I have downscaled what I want to do.
Just a side note, you did host a wedding there, right?
Yes, so we've had 3 family weddings there.
And the capacity of your, the parking capacity for your
My
lot?
daughter's wedding had 200 people at it.
200 people, okay. All right. So it looks like you need to have more information on your site plan. And we need to have the Conservation Commission look at your site plan in terms of proximity to the stream. I don't know if you've had a chance to measure the distance between where your parking will be. Is that shown on the site plan yet?
On that, it shows from the corner of the building to the stream is
Okay.
40 feet.
Okay.
And then last night I measured from the stream to the upper field, which I'm not going to park on unless it's overpacked, is 80 feet.
Okay. So 80 feet from this, because the stream is,
It's diagonal. There is
yeah.
a line on there that represents the stream. I mean, the stream is only like 6 inches wide, so.
oh, this is it, right here.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
So it goes through here, and you're saying it's 40 feet from the corner of the
Correct.
building,
Yes,
and the parking is over here next to the tree line, and that distance is
80.
80 feet. All right. In terms of maneuverability and functionality, turnaround areas, it's really hard to delineate parking spaces on hardpack. Yeah.
I did include a picture of 6 cars parked on my hard pack for you guys to look at in that packet. So I don't know if you guys got copies of that.
Yes, we did. Your septic system, you have ADA compliance, you're prepared, but that should be shown, where the ADA parking space would be. Okay.
So the drawing has little parking spaces on there.
I think what
the
Adam's
ADA
saying is that one should be identified as ADA?
It's the ADA one.
Oh, okay, sorry, yes.
Yeah,
That is not marked on there, but I can definitely
Yeah.
make one by the ramp.
just for the record,
Yeah.
that should be shown. And you can produce the final plan on regular paper. Questions from the board?
We ought to talk about the boundary lines.
Ah,
That's a pretty
yes.
big lot right there. I mean, you know, we can see from our map here where the boundary lines are on this. You know, it's not designated on that map there, of course, but it's a huge lot. It'd have to be a giant piece of paper there.
Correct.
Put those
That's why
boundary
they're
lines
not
on
there.
No, we weren't asking for all of them, sorry, just the ones that are visible, that would be visible on that map.
On that little piece
None.
there.
None of those property lines are close to that drawing. That's why I gave you the picture of the map, because I
Yeah.
couldn't put them on the paper. in that
Yeah, that's what I was
scale.
saying, that's a pretty big lot you've got there. And from what you're using, a portion of it, you can see from the tax map where the boundaries actually are. And you can see that, it's that one right there.
According to my information, the end of James Road from the corner up is on my property. So I guess that would be the property line that's on that map.
You know, it's board decision, really. Whether you want it on there or not.
We've, with other applications that are of equal size, we've given waivers on that, haven't we?
Yeah, we can waive any of those requirements that are, the board deems unnecessary.
Yeah. So I think so long as we have a location map here.
Yeah, everything is existing as it is now. There's nothing being added to the plat, from what I can see. All those buildings are there.
Yes.
You've designated distances from buildings, distance from wells. Let's see, sewer line is on there. There's a stone wall by the looks of it over here at the end of James Road. And a tree line you've got there. Your parking is along that area there. And I don't know that boundary lines would help us out very much there. We can pretty much see what's on there.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of you.
Consensus from the board? Would the board like to see boundary lines shown on this? Stacy, Mark?
I don't think it's necessary.
No. Mike, Richard,
Small tag,
Jay?
lot. A whole bunch of your lot that's not got built.
All right. Other questions, issues from the board?
Take a look at the big one. Once it's down.
questions from the public regarding this application? Comments?
Yes, I live on that road. How much traffic is there to be?
Could you state your name for our minute taker so that,
Bonnie Blodgett.
would you mind coming forward? Kai, should we ask her to speak into the microphone? Yes, please. Do you mind speaking into the, because we're recording these meetings, so.
Okay, I've never done this, so.
Yeah, many people never have, don't worry. We're
People
friendly.
watching on
I'm
net.
curious about the traffic and the noise, and is this basically a done deal already?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get notified of any of this until 2 weeks ago.
Would you like to speak to the notification process, Adam?
Yep, so it sounds like the notification worked. We send out notifications, well, they have to be sent out 10 days in advance. That doesn't include the day of the meeting or the day that they're sent. I typically send them out 14 days in advance. So getting it 2 weeks ago did its job. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming. I guess I don't understand what you mean by done deal.
I guess by done deal, I mean, does she have approval already?
No, that's why she's here tonight, and that's why we're reviewing what it is that she's proposing to do. And that's why we'd like your comments.
Yeah, we're happy you're here. Thank you for coming. The point of sending out the notice is to get you in the building, and so,
Which, that part I understood,
Yep.
but the rest of it I'm new to, so.
all good. We're happy you're here. Thank you for being here. So, if you could just state your concerns, which you have. Do you have any other concerns?
Well, noise, traffic,
Noise and traffic?
I mean, it's going to increase, I'm sure, with her business.
So we
And there is a child that is autistic that has problems with noise on that road.
So your business will be indoors, is that correct?
Mostly.
Mostly indoors, some outdoors? Yeah. What would it be outdoors? I mean, just, it would be a meeting or something like that?
Yes. So most of what we do is very quiet. I'm actually kind of annoyed by the fairground sometimes because we want to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to play loud music. We do play music, but it's for meditating. And I actually have a monthly circle already, which is, I can do because it's in my home. And we aren't noisy. So, yes, there's going to be more traffic, hopefully. I can't change that,
And how many per day you're thinking about? 12 to 15?
but not per day.
Not per day?
I do have a full-time job, so I'm not going to
Okay.
be there
Yeah.
every day waiting for people to arrive.
All right. So those are some of the concerns
Yeah,
there that you're wondering about.
giving me more information as to what to expect.
Yep.
This is,
Yeah.
like I said, all I had was this.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be as loud as the fairgrounds, I guess. And probably not as much traffic either.
And it sounds like the traffic will be very periodic, you know, it won't be like a constant daily kind of a thing. And the nature of what you're proposing is, it's not rowdy.
No,
Yeah.
quiet.
Okay. I'm familiar with some of what she said she does, but I wasn't completely sure of everything.
So if she plans to expand that at any point in time, she has to be back in here, and you will get a notification of that.
Okay. Thank you for that
Welcome.
information. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Proposed schedule.
It would be random, yes. Like I said, I have a full-time job, so it's not actually something I do every single day.
I understand every single day, but is there a time when you are there? To have this, that you'd be doing it like late afternoon or morning or evening or
Usually evening,
evening?
yes.
Duration of a session likely?
2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours. Other questions from the public? Comments?
I just have a question. When I read the word retreat, sometimes I think of overnight. Will there be guest overnight?
I don't have the facility for that, so,
Okay.
no, it's not in the plan now.
Good
I
answer.
mean, if it rose to that, then I would be back in here.
Well, if there are no further questions from the board, no
Just-
further questions.
Just one clarification from Adam. The Conservation Commission has not seen this yet, is that correct?
They have not seen it yet.
So our standard procedure is generally to continue until they have,
Yep.
I think.
Would you be comfortable with that? What that means is we won't actually close this public hearing. We'll resume it likely at our next meeting. Adam, is that safe to assume?
Yeah, I think
Depending
so.
on the
That's
schedule.
enough time for Conservation Commission to see it.
Yes.
They meet on the next, or the 6th, yeah, 6th.
So that's enough time for them to see it.
Okay.
So they would have to come to the property and inspect it.
No,
It depends on how often they work off paper. Yeah.
We'll get I'm sorry, I'm the Conservation Commission as well as is Mark, and we won't participate in any kind of thing there, but what happens is the Conservation Commission receives from the planning department the plans that you submitted to the planning board, and their concerns are passed on to us, and we look at that and we decide whether or not it's an issue we want to flag for the planning. And you're welcome to come to that meeting and present.
Okay.
What, is it 4 o'clock generally?
4 to 6,
4 to 6.
first Monday, first Monday of every month.
On the first Monday of every month, it'll be the 6th of July.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we continue this.
Continue this to July, whatever.
It's 9, July 9th is our next meeting. I'll second that motion.
Motion to continue the public hearing until July 9. There's a second from Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Robert Audette. Bob, with a solar ordinance draft.
No, sir. Thank you. Hello. Did you get all that inundated with that information I sent to Adam this week?
It was doable.
I'd been looking over, we don't really have an ordinance to regulate where people put solar in Swanzey. And I don't think anybody's opposed to solar, but we don't want a commercial development in a residential area. So we worked with SolSmart and a couple of other organizations, Clean Energy New Hampshire, who work on ordinances like this. And we've been passing it back and forth with Adam and Stefan and the Energy Commission. Oh yeah, I'm Bob Audette with the Energy Commission. This is Sherry. She's secretary. Dominant, right? Late VP. And she's on the Conservation Commission. So the idea is basically to create an overlay. And as I looked at it and I ran it through the machine a few times, I noticed that there was maybe some deficiencies. So that's why I presented you guys with 3 versions of the ordinance. There's really not a lot of differences there. And I explained why I did it that way.
Is
Is that in this one? That's the 3?
I'm not sure. I don't have any
We've got
copies.
this one that came with the packet, and this one was on the table when we came in.
Those were the 2 Google Docs that you sent me.
And the one with the table on it is the one that we've been working on for a while. That's the original.
This is the one, yeah, we got with our packet, yeah.
Yeah.
Seen that one, I have not seen this
So
one.
I had created some new stuff, and so the idea behind SolSmart is kind of, it rates your community and it gives you, and Keene does this, Keene's a gold star community, it rates your community because you've met certain levels to make it easier and more less regulatory burden, but better for your community to exploit solar resources. And the higher level you get, which this doesn't cost us anything, by the way, it's through the Department of Energy. The higher level you get, the higher rating you get, the more of a star it is on any sort of grant applications that we do in the future. So it's sort of just like a little notch in the belt for us when we meet these SolSmart benchmarks. So, I mean, the ordinance itself is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if there's any questions you have about it, any questions about the categories. A lot of that stuff's answered in the Google Doc that I shared, that Adam printed out for you. I also wanted to present you guys with a little packet of information on some of the myths about solar power and some of the things that have changed, so that if we ever have these discussions in the future, we have more facts. The document I gave to Adam didn't have any of my references, so if anybody is looking for references for the document I presented, I can get those to you as well. So if you had any questions about the ordinance and whether you think this is a good thing for the town, I guess that's, unless you have something you want to add.
Personal opinion, great thing for the town. Thank you very much
You're welcome.
for doing the work. We have not, this is a kind of a hefty document that
Yeah, and I wouldn't.
I would like to review this before.
And that was sort of,
Yeah.
I was looking at the ordinance we'd worked on, and I said, I know that we can do even a little better in this week. And I've had lots of time. I've been sitting around my house waiting for my ankle to heal, so I've been able to do a little more work on these. And it gives us, the 3 levels basically would earn us different recognition from SolSmart. So that's why I gave you 3 different ordinances.
Okay, when you began your talk, you said that SolSmart rates community. Did you say that Swanzey has already been rated, or we will be rated as a result of?
We're a member of SolSmart at this time. I'm
Okay.
not sure if we've received any sort of recognition yet from them.
Swanzey is a member.
But they're one of those free resources that we kind of have been tapping. And they're like, if you do this and this and this, you're gonna get this, this gold star. And then when you go apply for a grant to the federal government or the SWRPC, you can say we're a gold star, SolSmart neighborhood.
So the version of the ordinance that has the matrix in it.
That's that at the chart, it's not gonna change.
That's the version that Planning Commission voted to send.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that was something, I don't remember, Julius that we were working with to start that? Or
We worked with Julius.
Yeah, it was Julius.
Who was before?
Sarah?
Sarah. We might have started with Sarah, then Julius really pushed it through, and Michael was really on board. And, we've just kind of been batting it around back and forth a lot when we forwarded it to you guys, and we just thought it was time. I don't know if we could do any more work on it at this point. Yes?
Bob, I was skimming this,
Yeah.
and I ran into they asked that you to be a little bit more specific about decommissioning.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if, I see for the non-accessory renewable energy systems, there's something in number 7 there, but I'm wondering if there should be a separate section of the ordinance talking about decommissioning?
Mm-hmm. There might, do you know if, and I'm getting confused because basically I've been looking at 4 different ordinances now, but do you know if one of the other 3 that I suggested to you
I haven't
expands
seen
on it yet? Okay.
It's my first
I
night.
I could look at it and I could tell you for a fact,
Yeah.
but that was one of the things that I think they put in the 3rd, I put in the 3rd ordinance there
Okay, well, this is,
about
we're
decommissioning.
seeing is C here, so I'm not sure whether that's the 3rd ordinance or not. but
That's the original
That's
ordinance.
the original,
Yeah.
okay. So if you're working on that, that's great.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And that's important too, because people need to understand about decommissioning.
Yeah.
And that's just a basic requirement. I mean, you can't build without having a decommissioning fund, so. And again, this isn't meant to stop anybody from putting solar panels on their roofs, not stop anybody from going off grid or anything like that, but it is meant, if you live in like rural residential area and your neighbor owns 30 acres, it is meant to regulate that if they want to come in and cover that 30 acres. Right now, anybody could do it. They'd have to come to you guys, but there's no real restrictions on it. So do we want a commercial array in a rural residential area? I don't think we do, but, so that's sort of the idea behind the ordinance. It's just, let's give a little more direction about where these things can go. And you guys, like I said, you guys will need to look at the ordinance and maybe read some of the notes that I presented to you. And it's up to you at this point, really.
Well, I think our task is to review this, the thick document, and I like a lot of what I see in the draft that you have provided already, but I want to make sure that some of my comments probably are addressed in these other drafts. So I think our task is to do some homework and come up with some questions and thoughts and ask you to come back.
Sure, that's why I
Yeah.
supplied you with that packet of
Yeah.
info as well, because I knew you were going to need to go back and look at everything.
Yeah.
I do really want to reassure you that anything that you see in that packet is backed up with references, and if you do need to see those references, I can supply them.
That's good to know. Thank you. Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Heal quickly.
Do you guys want me to loop in Sarah, since she's working on the reorganization?
Yeah.
I can loop her into this.
Yeah, you
that
should.
way she can at least recommend a spot for it to go. And then I'm envisioning us to have the same joint meetings that we had last year with the Conservation Commission, but just with the Energy Commission, and hammer it out at the
Yeah.
end of the year.
And basically what she has to do is find a place to place, because this is going to be an overlay as we have other overlays.
Yep.
Is the idea?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm thinking after the wetlands stuff, it'll probably slot in there.
Yeah,
But
great.
I don't want to presume, I don't know what she's organized yet, so.
All right. So the next item under other business is the Johnson excavation permit. And for this, I'd like, Ms. Curlow, would you mind coming forward? And does Mike want to come forward too? So I have a couple of things, a couple of housekeeping stuff. I think maybe the most important one of all is that we want to make sure that we can be heard. There's nothing worse than having people mumble, and I know I do that. So I'm going to ask everybody on the board to be very careful to speak loudly into the microphone and face mic whenever it's possible. And also, if we have comments from the public, I'm going to have to ask you to come forward and, again, speak into the microphone, okay? So just quickly what we're going to do, we have not, as a board, had a chance to have a thorough, informed discussion of the status of this excavation pit. So this is really the first time. We've received a lot of information, and there have been times when we've wanted to talk about it, but we couldn't because you weren't present. So, so tonight's our chance. And I want the planning board to feel comfortable that we don't need to make a decision tonight if we're not prepared to make a decision. This is not a public hearing, so it's not a formal process. It's more of a, did I just cut out? Okay, it's more of a conversation. And I guess that's it. Just everybody please speak up, okay? Adam has a memo that he'd like to read into the record.
Thank you. So Victoria and I have a bit of information that we want to get out there before we start any discussions. The first is the staff portion. A quick memo. So this is on page 49 of the board's packet. So a few paragraphs, please bear with me. So Town Hall staff identified the property at 56 Cory Pond Road, which is at tax map 239 lot 69, as non-compliant with grandfathered excavation standards. Under RSA 155E, Grandfathered excavations are those lawfully in operation between August 24th, 1977 and August 24th, 1979, which are exempt from permit requirements provided that they have not expanded. We have already confirmed that that is true for Mr. Johnson's pit. He was definitely in operation between those two dates. That is not in question. To retain that status, operators were required to file an excavation report by August 4th, 1991, with failure to do so resulting in loss of exemption. Owners bear the responsibility for compliance. Boards are advised to meet with operators to determine the status of non-registered sites. So, because the town has no excavation report on file, the site does not meet the requirements for grandfathered status under RSA 155-E. Staff proposed a 12-month compliance timeline. However, the board can extend this by 18 or 24 months if more time is needed. The extension would shift the target compliance date to October 1st, 2027 or April 1st, 2028. Staff does not support extension beyond this time frame. Legal counsel has advised that we cannot grant a lifetime waiver. Land use rules stay with the property, not the person who owns it. The board must establish a specific compliance deadline to ensure future property owners are not permanently exempt from these regulations. That is the end of my spiel.
Thank you. So,
He was just giving him a recap of what we talked previously. Okay.
I have another recap of what you've talked about previously. Here. So because this process has gone on for a little bit of time, I just put together a timeline to remind members of the board what we've talked about already, which is basically, as Adam just reported, that Mike was notified toward the end of March that he needed to either ensure that the site meets grandfathered operation status standards or needs to get a formal excavation permit from the planning board. And then on May 14th, we got together and Emily Curlow appeared with Mike to give us a written discussion. And at that point, you acknowledged that there was no evidence that the planning board had requested an excavation report, and there was no evidence that the planning board had received a report. You asked for an extension of the April 2027 deadline, and the reason for that request was that it would take extra time to pull together funds on the order of $10,000 to put together a permit. So we took that conversation under advisement. Then we went back and did some homework because I, as one, and some other members of the board weren't super clear on exactly what the role of the planning board is in excavation review. So we researched that, and that's where we are today. Now we're back, we understand what our job is. I also put together some background on just the operation itself, and that's on the second page of this handout that I gave the board. And that talks about where the Ridge Hill Farm is located, that it's been in operation since 1909. It's a diversified New England farm operation, which has, over the years, had a 35-cow milking barn. They've sold meat, milk, beef, lamb, poultry, eggs, boarded horses, other livestock, have sold hay, manure, some amounts of timber, and the sand, which is used for agricultural purposes and also for sale. In case people are unfamiliar with this location, there's an interior farm road, which is similar to the Lewis Road in that Cory Pond Road terminates in the middle of the Johnson dooryard. There's an interior farm road that continues to the eastern side of the parcel where there is a sandbank. Just for context, that sandbank is to the north of the sandbank is a 70-acre parcel of undeveloped land, and to the east of the sandbank is another 632-acre parcel of undeveloped land. That's the former Troy Hill Holdings land, so it's a large tract. In terms of history, the site has been continuously operated as a self-serve farm pit by Henry Johnson, Susie Johnson, and Mike Johnson since approximately 1950. And the key piece of evidence that is required to demonstrate whether the pit is grandfathered or not is it was called an excavation report, and it's required by state law. It was required that planning boards during the year of, or prior to, by August 4, 1989, planning boards had to send a written notice to pits that were considered to be grandfathered, and the owners of the pits had to reply with a report by August 4th, 1991, so it's about 35 years ago. And what was needed in that report was 4 items, okay? The location of the excavation and the date that the excavation first began, a description of the limits of permissible expansion, an estimate of the area that had been excavated at the time of the report, and an estimate of the amount of commercial viable earth material that was still available on the parcel. Now, I'm listing that out just because we keep talking about this report that needs to be on file somewhere. That's what needed to be in the report. Now, we understand that Mike and his family have long, I'm sorry, I should call you Mr. Johnson, Mike, but I just can't. You're Mike in my head. Mr. Johnson has long been confident that the pit was grandfathered because it has been in use since Mr. Johnson was in his teens, and he's about to turn 88. He has regularly submitted his intent to excavate every year, and he's never been informed by the town staff that he needs to do anything else to comply with regulations. Until 2026, this year, neither town staff nor the planning board has ever asked the Johnsons to file or update an excavation permit. And finally, state officials that Mr. Johnson has talked to have assured him that New Hampshire wants to keep small grandfathered pits in operation. So that's where we are. And now is a chance for the board to ask questions and discuss amongst ourselves. And I think we should start with the board conversation and then welcome, well, I'm sure there are people here in the audience who can also add information to any discussion. Would you like to say anything?
Yeah, so I would, if you don't mind, because since our last meeting, Mike and I have spent some more time looking at regulations, been talking with other operators, exploring the RSA even further. And while I have previously asked for the 5-year extension, Mike has kindly but sternly requested that I withdraw with that request, as he is very adamant that this pit is grandfathered. So I understand that we still do not have the report from 1991. However, I've consulted with Molly Compton, who I would like to have come up before our board discussion to further explore our options. Because I really think she's kind of done a deep dive in, and I do appreciate all the time that you guys have spent diving into this as well, as I know this is kind of a very complicated process. So is it okay if she comes up and speaks? Because I feel like she can help us assist in finding, excuse me, kind of a mutually beneficial solution. So, Molly?
Just by way of introduction, you're an engineer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes. Good
Okay.
evening. My name is Molly Compton. I am an engineer with, with Compton Consulting LLC, and I'm also a seasonal abutter to Mike's property. I've grown up in Swanzey. I am very familiar with his operation, and I just have a few points that I would like to address to the board before we start this conversation. I know all of you have read the RSA. However, I will be quoting some of it for the benefit of the audience and for Mike, and to be clear which parts of the RSA that we are referencing. And it's also my understanding that some of these points have been discussed, but I'm going to reiterate for the benefit of clarity for our audience and for Mike, and to make sure everybody's on the same page, okay? In section 1 of the RSA 155 Excavation Handbook, it states, planning boards and the public need to be aware that New Hampshire legislation has directly invested planning boards with the authority and responsibility to regulate RSA 155. And throughout the entirety of this document, it reiterates multiple times that the planning board has full authority to apply and regulate RSA 155 as fits the nuanced needs of each individual town. The planning board has the ability to consider special circumstances in regards to excavation, especially if there is an overall benefit for the town. And per your last meeting, the board chair did state that the planning board has the ability to grant exceptions in RSA 155 for good cause shown. So the issue here, number one, is whether or not Mike's pit is grandfathered. And if the confusion on this persists, then can we reinstate or reconfirm his grandfathered status? And if he is required to get a permit, if so, what is that time frame and how are we going to approach that? Because this is far from a black and white issue that other parties have presented it as. It is not. So as Mike has been faithfully and to his knowledge and by the town's acknowledgement, he has been paying his appropriate taxes and fees associated with this pit to the town, and the town has been operating as if the sand pit was a legally permitted sand pit. The town does bear significant responsibility for this situation that we're in right now. Speaking with previous town planners, it seems that the town has, for at least the past, I think it's 36 years now, accepted that the pit was grandfathered in. And this precedent has been set both by common knowledge and common sense. So because we can't locate the paperwork, Mike nor the town, it doesn't negate a precedent that's been acknowledged for the past 35 years. So part of the grandfathering problem is this excavation report. It was supposed to be filed between 1989 and 1991. Neither Mike nor the town can locate this document. So this problem is partially addressed page 9 of the Excavation Handbook, as that statute was so poorly communicated and executed in 1991. This issue of the grandfathered pits has been debated before. So to quote the Excavation Handbook, quote, "The reality is that this requirement, the filing of the 1991 document, excavation report, has not been met by many operations throughout the state. From a practical standpoint, however, the board should weigh the benefits to the town of stopping an operation that would conceivably be permitted to operate again after a public hearing," end quote. Again, so I would reiterate, this document clearly gives the planning board freedom and leeway to execute this RSA in the manner and the nuance that is beneficial for the town and its citizens. So to this point, I have 2 points I would like to acknowledge regarding the filing of this excavation report. I would direct the board to section 3 of the RSA that's entitled New Hampshire Court Cases Relative to Excavation. I understand the board has previously discussed this, but I would like everyone in attendance to hear and to understand this point. In the second example given in the RSA, it's Wolfboro versus Smith from 1989. The summary of the court case states, the court found against the defendant because they could not meet a 3-pronged test, and that this is the test. Number 1, excavation activities were being pursued when the law became effective. Number 2, the area that is to be excavated was clearly intended to be excavated. Number 3, continued operations do not and will not have an adverse impact on the neighborhood. Mike's sand pit very obviously and clearly passes this 3-pronged test. So given that the New Hampshire Supreme Court set this test and stated that if the defendant could have proven that these points, they would be grandfathered in to not need a permit. This should be, I would think, sufficient for Swanzey's planning board to be confident in their decision to reaffirm that Mike's pit is grandfathered in. Yes, sir.
case are you citing?
It's Wolfboro versus Smith. It's in the excavation handbook.
Page 139. 139, and it's down to, let's see, number 3 there.
There's two, there's a little four on 138 also.
Yeah. That's part of it, too.
Good? Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As a second point, should the board find reason to not acknowledge the grandfathering of Mike's Pit, I would refer you to the RSA handbook. It's page 19. It's, quote, recommended planning board procedures in section 2. The document addresses the issues of how to navigate the situation of a landowner not being notified of the requirements to file this 1991 excavation report. The RSA excavation handbook states, quote, one possible solution would be for the board to grant permits to all such non-permit operations for a certain period of time with no special conditions attached, after which they would then be subject to the current laws and regulations. So I know that when Emily was here last time, she requested an extension of the permit process. However, given the information we have read and discovered since then, and that I have presented to you, we would respectfully request that the planning board utilize their authority to confirm Mike's Pit as grandfathered. And if they should find that they are unable to confirm that status, then we would request that the planning board grant Mike a permit without restriction, as is recommended in the RSA, for a period of 15 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to stick around in case there are more questions? Questions from the board?
Sorry, that was, yeah, but.
She lays it out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going on here. You know, nobody's saying that the gravel pit or sand pit in this case was not operating in 1977 or 79. Nobody disputes that, and nobody disputes the town was fully aware that that was going on, and nobody disputes that he was filing his intent to excavate as well every single year and paying taxes on it. The only thing in dispute is whether or not a letter was sent out by the planning board to requesting and what is the word they use for it?
Excavation report.
I guess just the report,
Yeah.
excavation report. And nothing indicates in the town that they received the report. So that's kind of a leveling out there, to me anyway. In my opinion, I think we should just give them the benefit of the doubt. We knew what was going on. Nothing would change. If we had those reports in the town hall, nothing would have been changed. We aren't trying to run them out of business. The whole excavation process would be going on as it is now, as it probably will be. So nothing has changed there. No abutters are complaining about it. And the town really isn't complaining about it at all. It's just that we don't have that paperwork. So I would say, and I'll put it into a motion, that we should give Mr. Johnson the benefit of the doubt and have him resubmit the form with those, and I will read them out here, I think they're here. But anyways, let me get my spot here so I'm correct here. So resubmit the report to include the location of the excavation and the date the excavation first began. 2, a description of the limits of permissible expansion as described in subparagraph B. They talk about the RSAs here. That's kind of irrelevant there. An estimated area of which has been excavated at the time of the report, which would be now, and an estimate of the amount of commercially viable earth material still available on the parcel. And give Mr. Johnson the period of 1 year to come up with that report and submit it to the town.
I'll second that motion.
I totally concur with that.
There's no reason why we should hold Mr. Johnson responsible, whereas the town is partially at fault on this, for not following up on their own regulations.
I think the town just assumed that it was grandfathered. Nobody checked. You know, it was back-a-ways. Nobody checked to see if it was filed or not.
In a lot of senses, in a lot of legal cases, isn't the fact that no action has been taken over these years sort of grandfather the thing anyway.
Like adverse possession, is it? Yeah.
It's the repetitive acknowledgement that this has been going on, and no complaint has been made over the years, so de
Nope.
facto, the town has approved it.
And we're the regulators, the planning board are the regulators, and we can, I think anyways, accept the belated, or if the report was ever filed, it may have been filed, we don't know that, but at least accept one now.
Well, it could be argued that the report was filed, the town doesn't have the documentation, but because the report was filed, the town has been acting the way they have been acting all these
Yeah,
years.
and by giving them the benefit of the doubt, just to file one now, and it's on record and it's done.
Right.
Should we go with just 12 months, or should we go for 18?
The motion I made was just for a year. We could add on that he could, not postpone it, could extend it for another 12 months after that if he needed more time.
Well, let's ask a question. Mr. Johnson,
When-
what kind of time frame would be comfortable for you?
Wait a minute. We're in a motion and a second, we're deliberating.
Right, but if he gives us an answer, we can...
We can't ask that, no. We're in the middle of a motion and we're deliberating, so it's up to us.
Did your motion preclude an additional motion to extend that later if this were to pass?
An additional motion could be, yeah, extended later on, but this is the motion now. I can change the motion and his second could accept it. If I change my motion right now while we're deliberating to give a 12-month extension, one-time 12-month extension, and you were to agree with that.
I'll agree with that.
Okay, then that motion has been changed to that. That motion has been changed to have Mr. Johnson file the report, the required report that had been required, and has up to 1 year to fulfill that requirement, and has a one-time extension of 12 months after that.
So for that extension, you would have to come in front of the board.
Correct.
And the report is the current condition of the pit, right?
So that's been moved.
That's,
Second.
yep.
Right, correct.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Lampinen.
Yeah, cool off in here.
I wasn't here for the...
You must remember his dad.
I do remember his dad. I didn't know that's who his father was until I was reading some of the stuff in here.
Played football down in the field.
Oh, he did?
I haven't heard back from him.
Tried to come down with the water and stuff.
We'll wait for them to clear out.
It was great that the kids were out there playing.
See, that's the way it used to be. That's the way it should be now.
Well, you don't see kids out there with shit now. We used to play football, baseball, whatever. We didn't want the parents around.
Oh, yeah,
We
we
played baseball 3-on-2.
We didn't either. When we were kids, we disappeared for the whole day.
I used to go fishing all the time all over. Some whole man fishing was supposed to be. And we went over with Aunt Simpson, I don't know if you remember him, fishing game. He knew it, and he'd just say, well, I know you guys is
Quiet in
feed
the
the
room.
family, so I don't care.
He had a point.
Yeah.
But it's right there is that's the requirements.
I couldn't see him taking that old guy and
Nope.
squashing him.
Me neither, because nothing would change. Exactly.
Adam,
Yes.
should we discuss Mr. Lampinen's, if he's not here?
He said he wanted to be here. I reached out to him twice, once at the end of last week and once on Monday. I haven't heard back from him.
Okay.
It's up to the board, but I know he wanted to make a case before the board, so well, I guess it's up to you guys.
Okay.
If you guys have questions about it, though,
Okay.
This is Arrowcrest
Yeah.
we're talking about.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not a discussion.
So-
Nobody here for it either.
if he wanted to be here, I think we ought to wait for him to be here. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's probably going to present a case that he shouldn't have to submit a whole new site plan, or it was a subdivision, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's,
So
But I
have
don't-
people reviewed this issue?
I'm a little confused by it, but yeah, I would look.
Okay, so you were there.
yeah, I was there, yeah.
Mike was there?
Again, it's a,
Mike was there and Jane was there.
Okay.
5 years ago.
and it's a subdivision, is what it is.
Right.
Currently a subdivision, and basically what we're reading in there is that they did not fulfill the conditions within that 1-year period.
Okay.
And it states in the regulations that it has to be fulfilled, those conditions have to be fulfilled within 1 year. And we're talking about the subdivision regulations, not the site plan review regulations. Even though they're basically the same in that regard. But still, that's what we're talking about there. So, I don't know, maybe we ought to discuss it without him here and just give a consensus. It'd save time if he wants to resubmit.
He could come back and present a case if he wants to challenge
If
our...
you
if
disagree
we
with
just-
us, yeah.
It's his timeline, so it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's fine.
I did have a question, though. He needed to get permits from Environmental Services, and he needed an alteration of terrain. How long do those permits last?
He got them extended, so
Okay.
those permits are good.
They're still alive?
Yeah. To my knowledge, and from the documentation I've received from him, and he's been working closely with Joe, Public Works Director,
Okay.
the other conditions have been fulfilled.
Okay.
It's just that one, the financial security.
Okay. So that's the only outstanding thing is his bond.
Did he say what the holdup on that was? The bond?
I didn't get a clear picture.
No. But that is the only one he's waiting for?
Yep.
Has he done any actual work on the land? Do we know?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I don't go up there a lot, though, so maybe I
Yeah.
can take a drive.
Well, consensus, discussion, what does the board think?
Yeah, we could decide on it tonight, or we could wait till he comes in. My opinion about it is that everything else is in a row by the looks of it. It's a subdivision up there, it's a decent subdivision, I recall it. It was putting in single-family homes up there, which is what we need in town anyways, in my opinion. I really don't have an objection to him waiting that long and the planning board deciding to give him the extended time. What is it going to be? Is it 3 years, or how many years is it? It's been quite a few years.
The
It's
problem
been
is,
5 years.
Yeah,
yeah.
what,
I don't think
5
the
years.
planning board can waive subdivision requirements. I was looking for, in the site plan review regs, the planning board can waive any portion of those regulations. I was trying to find a provision in the subdivision regulations, because I thought, oh, maybe the planning board, you know, has the ability to waive these regulations.
It says on the last page under modifications, the requirements of the foregoing regulations may be modified when, and in the opinion of the board, specific circumstances surrounding a subdivision or condition of the land in such subdivision indicate that such modifications will properly carry out the purpose and intent of the master plan and these regulations. It's basically, that's what it's saying. You know, it's not saying that, it's saying modify, but it means the same thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're interpreting it differently, but again, that's not for me to say.
What do you think it means?
I think it relates just to modifications. But again, you know, the board's
But
welcome to
yeah,
either.
that is it's splitting hairs probably. It's talking about modifications to these regulations, right?
Oh, modifications to these regulations. I have to pull it up.
And these regulations contain that stipulation that the conditions have to be met within 1 year. And if we modified that to, I guess you said it's been 5 years, Adam?
It was approved in 2020.
Something like that?
So it's 6, we're going on 6 now.
Yeah. So, again, I feel the same way, that if there's no real problem other than he did not get the bond there, everything else sounds like he got all the permits already. And if they're still valid,
Did he come before the selectmen to talk about, at what point does he talk with the selectmen about the road being taken over? Has anything happened with that? Do we know?
It should have already happened, but
Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to talk
Yeah.
to Joe to see if that requirement's been met. Because Joe is happy with the amount that he proposed. So when he does eventually come to the planning board to propose the amount for the financial security, that has been okayed by the Public Works Director. So
Okay.
he's happy about the amount, he agrees with the amount, it's just the timeline that was in question.
The other extenuating circumstance is COVID, you know, so that threw everybody for a loop for a while there, too. So it sounds like
I am reading it now, Scott. I mean, I think it could definitely be interpreted that, you know, kind of the same vein as the site plan review regulations. I'm happy to read it for the good of the board if you want.
Sure, yeah.
So, under section 11, administration and enforcement, 11.02 modifications, the requirements of the foregoing regulations may be modified when, in the opinion of the board, specific circumstances surrounding a subdivision or condition of the land in such subdivision indicate that such modifications will properly carry out the purpose and intent of the master plan and these regulations. I think we should maybe consider rewording that at some future date, but.
Oh, I don't know.
What's the feeling of the board?
Do you need a motion to see how the feeling of the board is?
Sure.
I'll make that motion that we grant them the extension of the bond condition. But let's see, how long shall we give them? They've had a long time. We ought to give them like maybe 6 months at the most. I don't know.
Well, there again, I'm a little uncomfortable without them being present. Maybe you could let him know that the board is disposed to support his request.
Yep.
But we want to know more about how much time he needs so that we don't.
I'll withdraw the motion
Okay.
then. We'll
Yeah.
wait till he comes in.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll reach out.
Great, thank you.
Just as a comment, I'm of two minds. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, nothing's changed as far as what
No,
they're
it's a
looking
subdivision. The land is still the same. The road's still the same. Looks like the drawing's still the same. It'd be a shame to make him come in for something that probably would be approved anyway by us.
I think it's, from what I can see of it, it's in the best interest of the town, and it's going to go forward.
We'd much rather have a single-family homes than.
Exactly. I think this is a good location for it. I think it was approved to be this way, and we should try to make it happen. I'm not saying that's true of every development. This particular one was.
Well, let's have him in then. See if he shoots himself in the foot. You never know.
I will make a quick comment. I do think if the board going forward is going to modify the subdivision regulations, I think it should be done at the time of approval. The wording of this paragraph kind of spooks me in doing it this late after approval. So I guess maybe we should consider revisiting the subdivision regulations in the same way that we revisited the site plan review regulations.
Can you
So maybe
explain
make it more
the first sentence that you said?
Yeah,
Can you explain-
I think if the planning board wants to modify the subdivision regulations, which it seems like they are permitted to.
Okay.
Doing it at the time of approval, a la Pilgrim Pines from last year when the board granted them more time to get everything done. Doing it 6 years after approval spooks me a little bit, but again, maybe we should revisit this section and reword it to a more friendly way of reading.
And as long as we show just cause, if and when we do it, as long as we show just cause for the record, why we're doing it, why we waited 6 years, and that, then I think we'll be good.
Would there be a formal notice of decision if we do extend this?
There can be.
I think we should.
Yep.
And we can cite our just cause in that notice, and that way we've got a record.
Yes.
Other thoughts? All right, I have, under other business, I was prowling around the website, and one thing that popped up at me was that the minutes from the joint meeting that we had to discuss the zoning update, those show up under the planning board section of minutes, and I don't know who is charged with approving those minutes, but they're still there in draft version, so thought we ought to address that.
Yeah, I was questioning that. I think we would have to approve them at our next joint meeting.
Okay,
With the body present. I know it's a long break,
fine.
Yeah, I know
Just so
it.
long as we capture that.
This
Yeah.
is the last meeting we had, right, with all the boards together? Is that the
Correct,
one you're
yeah,
talking about?
that the selectmen actually ran that
Well,
meeting,
if
so aren't
ran the
they,
meeting,
their
have to do it.
minutes?
They have to confirm the minutes. If the selectmen ran the meeting, they should confirm the minutes, not us.
Yeah. But it seems like it would be useful to have, maybe we could have another copy of the minutes in the planning board section of the website.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of approving them, just like we do with any committee. I know this isn't a committee necessarily, but at the next joint meeting, we can,
Yeah, could do it that way, too.
whatever the board,
Yeah.
I mean, I can send it over to the select board and get them to approve or comment.
Makes
Then-
sense to me that the people who participated in the meeting should approve the minutes.
But it'd be a better, because it might be a better way for the selectmen just to do it because they're running the meeting. Because at that meeting, it wasn't a meeting that we decided something with motions and seconds and things like that. It was just an informational meeting that we're just sorting it all out. So the selectmen, I think the selectmen ought to just approve of those minutes.
Could easily be done.
And the other thing I have, which maybe I'm misreading this, but after all our hard work on revising the site plan review regulations, the section 6, I noted that this is under approval and it's element D, and it says no certificate of occupancy shall be issued until 2 copies of the site plan are signed. No site plan shall be signed until all conditions are placed. The board receives final and conditional approval. The elements that need to happen are the site plan needs to be signed, or it shall be signed until after all conditions relative to the approval are placed on the plan. The board receives final unconditional approval from the Swanzey Fire Department, and the plan is signed by a registered engineer or surveyor. And I'm thinking, what if no registered engineer or surveyor was involved? Are we going to, is that a problem? Because it happens
It
sometimes.
does
like-
happen, right?
Yeah.
All the time.
It does happen.
Yeah.
Good
That's
point.
a good point.
Yeah.
The planning board can waive that portion every approval,
Yeah. could do
or
that.
we can remove the requirement at another public hearing.
Could we say something like, some language to the effect of if a registered engineer or surveyor was involved in preparing the plan, they had to
Oh.
sign off on it?
That could
Because
be
you pay good money for that, right? You want
Yep.
their stamp on it,
here or serve.
something like that.
It's a
I
good
don't know.
start.
I think Adam's idea of waiving it, if we
Okay.
need to, might be better, because it's in there for a purpose. Most of our plans are done by engineers, or should be done by engineers. We require it anyways when we have the, actually when we approve it for complete application. Usually that's on there. So,
Okay,
I
okay.
don't know, that or we could remove it too.
I just,
Right.
I thought of it when I looked at
That's a good point.
this one.
That's a very good point.
If we remember it, yeah, we can waive it. If we don't remember to waive it, then no harm done really in that case either.
Yeah, I just don't want to imply that it's necessary for a registered engineer or
Right.
surveyor to prepare a site plan, which
Yeah.
this kind of does.
Mhm.
And we're
Yeah,
pretty
and
clear
it
that.
even states in our application that it doesn't need to be prepared by a professional too. so-
Okay, okay,
But,
so-
so it's kind of contradictory in
Yeah,
that way.
all right.
If there's something to remind us to waive that requirement, otherwise I think we're all just gonna forget, honestly.
I will.
Or we can change it. It'll be a quick change. I mean, if we want to change it, we can do it. It'll be a public hearing, but
Yeah, but it would be a quick one, right? And get it done before we all forget about it.
I don't mind posting it again.
Yeah, Let's
Okay,
do that.
the board
let's
wants
do
to.
that, because my memory is not to be trusted.
Yeah.
Do you guys mind if we do it on the 23rd of July? I think the 9th might be a bit packed.
Yeah,
I
Not
don't
at
think it's
all.
gonna matter. I don't.
not at all. I just want to catch it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, any other business?
Just a question. It's kind of touchy. Land use condition. Is this, what they've done there, does that satisfy the, or constitute a substantial amount of work done on that project, because that time, 1-year extension is now, I believe, expired or very close to. And there was not to my knowledge, another request for another extension. And I think it was only a 1-year extension.
Well, when we approved that, we would have had to have said what qualified for substantial improvement to the property, and I don't believe we did at that. So there is no, we can't.
Common sense thing?
No, we can't go back, in my opinion, we can't go back on it. If the planning board says, okay, this has to be done, site work has to be done, infrastructure in, that's your substantial improvement for the property, then that's one thing. But if it's left blank, and I believe it's in the RSAs, the planning board cannot do that. They can't come back and say, well, you didn't be, you know, it wasn't substantial development if they didn't say what it was supposed to be when they approved it. I'm pretty sure that that's the case in the RSAs.
Is there part of the RSA that states that certain things are not, well, discounted as part of substantial improvement or substantial work?
It says, pretty much says that the planning board has to designate what is substantial improvement to the property, and pretty certain in there.
And we get into legal matters where if it's not designated, I'm going to say applicant, we'll say litigant, will push the issue, because if it is not stated, you're in trouble. I'm not saying we should back off from the fight, but it just shows, I hope, it shows the rest of the planning board that you need to put conditions for substantial completion on every project.
And we changed that with the site plan regs.
I know that. Yeah. But this is, I think, one of the motivations for doing it. Unfortunately, that ship has sailed for this particular project. That's my reading of this.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know me, you know I'm against this project all the way, but that is what we do.
But we don't need to spend any more money in court with the guy either.
Right.
Let Keene have that pleasure now.
So this is mentioned, and I've mentioned before, it is really important for the board to specify. I know we have the 3 things that we have now, but we need to be absolutely certain that we're specifying what needs to be done and what constitutes.
We've done it, and we've had this discussion many times with our site plan regs, and the reason we did that is because not all the site plans are the same. They are different. A lot of them are very different, and if we give them a choice of what constitutes that substantial improvement to the property, and they've completed one of those, we don't have to say at the time of approval which one it is, because in the regs it says you can do any of those. Then they're covered. And again, they may, a property might have been in here to the board, and they were going to put up whatever kind of a building there, and then they dropped it and sold it to someone else. But they may have already put the infrastructure in. They may have put pipes in the ground, may have put a road in, and all that type of stuff. Well, here comes somebody else, buys a property, and says, oh, well, I've got substantial improvements done to the property because they were already there when I bought it. But that's not the case. You know, we would still require them to do a little bit further because they aren't going to get away free and clear if they bought their property like that. So not every property is the same. You know, they aren't starting from scratch every time. They don't have to take trees down every time. It might be an open lot.
No, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But again, I just...
Yeah, we're trying to cover ourselves. I know, and we hopefully
will.
will.
Do a good job doing that.
One other issue that I'm not really completely aware of, but it seems to me that some of the material on site has been removed to another location. I'm not sure that's true or not, but I have a friend, a college classmate who was in the planning board in another town in Massachusetts where developers would buy up sites, start a project, remove all the topsoil, and then abandon the project. And they would take the soil to another location where they might work, and then use that. I just want to warn us that we may need to think about that issue in terms of having people
It happens. That happened years ago, right here in West, when, I forget who it was, this was years ago, bought that piece of property down behind the treatment plant before the plant was there, and they're gonna put in a mobile home park down there, and then discovered that it was in a floodplain. Couldn't do anything with it, so they scraped all the topsoil off it and sold it. And they've hence gotten it back with the farmers gotten it back with cow manure and all that type of stuff, but that did happen, yeah, so it does happen.
So I just want to point that out for future thinking.
Thank you. Another demon to live under our beds.
Well, it's an unscrupulous behavior, but in this particular community, it was more than a single occurrence. They didn't have any regulations that would prevent that from happening. People took advantage.
Any other business?
Remember
Motion
to
to
send any
adjourn?
questions to me
That's it?
for Sarah before our next joint meeting. If you guys have anything, she's going to have a draft of the organized documents soon. So it should give the board plenty of time to review any drafts prior to the joint meeting.
Okay, good.
What's our next meeting look like, Adam? What's our next meeting look like?
I don't have that information right now. I don't think it's too bad. So if there's anything that anybody wants to bring up, next meeting might be good. Oh, no, we do have a site plan, sorry.
Which is?
Easy Crete. They have submitted a site plan. They're off of,
Where Agtech used to be.
thank you, yep.
Off of Route 12,
Yep.
across from Madame Forward.
Conservation Commission will have a chance to review this, by the way, so.
And you're going to have a continuation of the one that's tonight.
Yes, now we're gonna have, two.
Good deal.
And I've got an update from our Water Sewer Advisory Committee. Not much of an update. We're still in the engineering part of it, so we're going to be signing with Underwood Engineers to do a more extensive look at the route to take to Keene. This is talking about force main to Keene from West Swansea plant here. And the DES said that we have to still look at alternate routes, not only the Route 10, but routes up to Eaton Road and possibly on Causeway and up Route 32. That way there, they need for us to look at other routes in order to qualify for funding. So, we're going to spend a little extra money doing that because we'll probably end up with the best route. It looks like it's going to be Route 10 out there, but we kind of have to do it. We're stuck doing that. So we had a meeting about that a couple days ago, and the selectmen authorized Joe DeRusso to sign the contract with Underwood Engineers to do more extensive test boring and extensive looking into which route we should take. So that's on the way going there, but it's going to be a long process. It's going to be many months before we really get right down to the nitty-gritty as to which way we are going to go. Probably going to be Route 10. Also, in the meantime, we're probably going to be looking into the West Swansea Water Company again and what the town can do with that, if we can possibly just purchase the water company without anything else, without going for a $6 million loan for a water tank and all that type of stuff. If the town can just maybe make arrangements or a deal with the owners to purchase that and work off of that, work from there.
Just work incrementally.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. So we'll be working on that too. And we're also working on the rate changes as well for the sewer part of it. That's about all the update we have with that.
I could mention a couple of things about the governance committee. We got a new direction where we're going to be looking at policies and ordinances for the request of the selectmen. So if anybody can think of something, and it doesn't pertain to zoning so much as any other ordinance we have in town, you can shoot it either to Ann Hepperman or myself, and we'll bring it forth to the committee and see if it's something we want to pursue, and you can always come into our meetings too.
So you're looking at ordinances to come up with,
so like
or
if you-
existing ones?
Whatever. If you want to, I'm proposing the ordinance, but we're looking at the old ones and do they now fit what we want in town?
So like, for example, the discussion of the temporary signs.
Right, right.
Would be an
That sign
example of
ordinance.
some- yeah.
Well, we could, but that's more of a zoning thing that it could come forward to the zoning board.
Yeah.
I mean, to the planning board.
Sure.
Because we're responsible for writing those.
Yep.
And it's always been there, it just has not been enforced.
Fireworks.
And we have ordinances like littering,
Yeah.
dogs, and
Yeah.
smoking,
Well,
things like that.
the thing I brought up the other day, and the thing was the roads and pond issues. Do we want to strengthen those ordinances over there? Because on the RSAs, you cannot swim within 250 feet of a boat ramp. And it's not a beach.
But that is only for fishing game monitored only, folks, no state-owned boat. I called Fish and Game about it and said,
That makes sense.
this is a violation.
That makes sense, and that's their interpretation of it. When I look at the RSA, it doesn't say that. It does say the select board can say, okay, go ahead and swim,
Which is not.
but it's not gonna happen, no. But do we wanna do something at that beach?
Well, we'll find out from the
not a
governance
beach.
committee.
Yeah,
It's not a beach.
no, it's not a beach. And if you ever go by there someday and you look at the cars in the park there, they all have a big K on the back window. Not saying where they're from, but they all have a big K in the back of their window.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
There a second? Hi, Brandon. Are we all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.